As Greg Berhalter tended to the media Monday directly following the U.S. men's public soccer group's 1-0 misfortune to Uruguay, an outcome that disposed of it from the 2024 Copa America in the gathering stage, he was inquired as to whether he was the right voice and the perfect individual to lead the Americans into the 2026 World Cup. He answered with a scarcely perceptible yes. Berhalter's response was business as usual. While renunciations during news meetings aren't unfathomable, the supervisor who won't move himself in a second like that is uncommon without a doubt. All things considered, Berhalter's reaction contradicted the accessible proof. The U.S. is out of the Copa America at the main obstacle in a competition that it was facilitating before steady groups, as well as one in which it was given a completely reasonable gathering that, notwithstanding Uruguay, included Bolivia and Panama. However, not even those tailwinds were sufficient to push the U.S. into the knockout rounds. All things being equal, what was in view was a group that hurt itself with backbreaking errors and couldn't figure out how to crush out the outcomes it required. Do the players merit a portion of the fault? Definitely. In any case, Berhalter has to possess this exhibition, too. As a result, the U.S. Soccer League needs to continue on and find another administrator who can all the more likely produce the sort of force that the 2026 World Cup can't possibly give. Honestly, there are more extensive explanations behind requiring another chief than the outcomes from only one competition. The most cursing is that the U.S. hasn't gained any perceivable headway from the uplifting shows at the 2022 World Cup, when a youthful group arrived at the knockout stages. The assumption was that the youthful center of the group would improve and make the following moves to joining the world's tip-top. All things considered, the USMNT seems as though it is moving in reverse, even with the expansion of forward Fuller and Balogun, seemingly the side's best player in the competition, as well as a more elaborate Giovanni Reyna. The hole between the U.S. also, CONCACAF groups not named Mexico, has all the earmarks of being limiting. At that point, the second leg route to Trinidad and Tobago in the CONCACAF Countries Association, the U.S. still swayed total, and the presentation in the CNL elimination round against Jamaica, against whom it took a random own objective in last part stoppage time to eventually win in additional time, seemed like blips. With the advantage of knowing the past, they presently seem like harbingers of what might be on the horizon, whether it was the protective breakdowns, slips in discipline, or an absence of imagination. Add them up and it makes for a group that appears to be incoherent and conflicting on the field. That was obvious Monday night. The U.S. begun brilliantly and gave Uruguay, as of now second in South America's Reality Cup qualifying standings, all it could deal with. Furthermore, there was a moment, seconds even, when it seemed the U.S. could very well slip through into the knockout rounds. Bruno Miranda had recently balanced for Bolivia in its down against Panama, and with the U.S. attached 0-0 with Uruguay, the Americans were ready to progress on objective differential. What was apparently outside their ability to understand heading into the match was out of nowhere inside contacting distance. And afterward it was grabbed away. Uruguay's safeguard Matthias Oliveira tidied up a bounce-back from Ronald Araujo's header to put La Celeste ahead in the 66th moment on a play that looked on replay as being offside. Panama, before long, recovered its lead against Bolivia. What's more, with Uruguay's famously actual play crushing the U.S. into dust, the objective of progressing in the Copa America was carefully concealed. In any case, it was only one in a progression of botched open doors by the U.S. in this competition. There was the powerlessness to rebuff Bolivia with additional objectives in the opener, the better to cushion its objective differential. Then, at that point, there was the disastrous red card to Timothy Weah ahead of schedule against in the misfortune to Panama. That occurrence, without anyone else, isn't on Berhalter. In any case, the way that the U.S. in reality went on in that match through Balogun just to hack up the lead right away and, At last, a late victor was one more occurrence of this group underachieving. Time and again it seems like the US put itself into position to gain ground exclusively to show itself unfit to create those open doors count. Both Berhalter and a portion of his players featured that the power that the group began the game with should have been there the entire time. I think we want to improve among ourselves, goalkeeper Matt Turner said. We want to hold ourselves to a better quality. We must have that gauge of power that we displayed in this game in each game and consistently. Since in competition-style play, each choice, each call, each shot that you miss, each shot that you save, each shot that you don't obstruct, everything is amplified 10 times. Following 5 years of Berhalter being in control, why would that be? Berhalter didn't actually have a solution to that inquiry. Neither did Turner. One explanation that doesn't wash is the group's relative youth. These are players thriving with a lot of gathered insight. Playing with power ought not be an issue, but it actually is. The group's general absence of inventiveness keeps on being an issue, too, after it completed the coordinate with a normal objectives, XG, of simply 0.56. Against Uruguay, there appeared to be a touch that was the very smallest piece too free, or a shot that took a dab excessively lengthy to get not quite right. Credit Uruguay. It shielded relentlessly, which is the ethos that has been the foundation of its prosperity for north of 100 years. It used to be essential for the US's as well. However, for reasons unknown, it presently travels every which way. That is on Berhalter, too. To a man, the players actually back Berhalter. There was a lot of self-analysis. I don't think this competition truly had a say in the staff or the strategies or the manner in which we play, Reina said. I think it was more individual mix-ups, and I figure the staff can unfortunately do a limited amount a lot. I think by the day's end, the players kind of need to take commencement on the field. What's more, I think by the day's end, the players didn't do what's necessary to go through. There is a trace of validity in this. This ongoing age of players has been exceptionally promoted for going on 5 years now. Considering what some of them have accomplished at club level, there is some support. However, there likewise has been some stagnation. A few players aren't getting the required playing time with their clubs, which is where the greater part of their improvement comes from. Yet, there likewise is by all accounts level of solace inside the group that is undesirable. There is typically a pressure inside public groups when there is a major competition not too far off. Is a player in the mentor's arrangements? How can he remain there? In the event that he isn't, how can he arrive? That doesn't appear to be available right now. Changing the administrator each cycle recalibrates that pressure, as everybody begins once again. That is important for why an adjustment of supervisor appears to be essential at this point. So what straightaway? After the match, U.S. soccer donning chief Matt Crocker gave the accompanying assertion. Our competition execution missed the mark regarding our assumptions. We should improve. We will direct an exhaustive survey of our exhibition in Copa America and how best to work in the group and results as we look towards the 2026 World Cup. This sounds dubiously like the cycle that was utilized after the U.S. ladies were bobbed from the Ladies Reality Cup last year in the round of 16, its earliest World Cup exit. Half the month after the fact, then, at that point Chief Vlatko Andonovski surrendered. It won't be a shock on the off chance that Berhalter experiences a comparable result.